After yesterday's share market washout, Australia's ASX has been open about an hour. Its performance will weigh on the Reserve Bank board today as it makes its latest decision on interest rates. Business editor Ross Greenwood joins me. Ross, I heard you saying earlier it's such an interesting turnaround and so quick. The pricing in now of a rate cut next as opposed to a possible hike in today's meeting.
It's absolutely true, Kieran. There's no doubt about that. And that is what the Reserve Bank right now is considering, just the way in which the economy is going to behave and perform into the future. And this volatility, which really was triggered by the United States and those employment numbers that came out there on Friday night. But the response in our market right now, you can see here it's starting to actually gain a bit of a momentum. So after a 3.7% fall yesterday, the market is up by close on 0.8% now. So 59 points on the ASX 200. If we actually show you some of the stocks that had the biggest falls yesterday were Australia's big tech stocks. And these companies have all bounced back today quite considerably. So Mesoblast is one that got hammered hard yesterday. Appen in particular, it had actually been picking up over the past couple of weeks. It's certainly involved and has picked up off the back of artificial intelligence. Some of the work it's doing there, up by almost 7% today. And Zip, the buy now, pay later company, up by some 4% today. If we have a look at some of the big stocks, those that actually do determine the direction of our market, you can see here the Commonwealth Bank shares, well, they had touched $134. They then collapsed yesterday below $125. And now you can see have actually picked up again. So that really showing you the bargain hunters are trying to pick up some of those shares at cheaper prices. BHP also had a big fall yesterday. It is better. CSL, however, continues to fall. So really, Kieran, you're starting to see a picture that really markets have gained a little bit of their poise, their balance this morning after a big washout yesterday.
Yeah, indeed, a convulsion, but easing now. And the catalyst for yesterday's sell-off was the US employment data. It was felt worse clearly in Asia, Japan particularly. What's happening there today?
Yeah, we can show you that again. And this is really giving you some sense of the future of the market as well. This is the reason why I think our market has actually gained a bit of poise. So here's the Nikkei in Japan, up by more than 10% today after yesterday, its worst performance, its worst one-day performance since 1987, the big share market collapse then. And Korea, it had its worst day yesterday on record. And today its share price is up by, on average, 5.5%. So these are big turnarounds. And it just goes to show that yesterday, these markets that had massive washouts, that it was actually overdone. I can also show you the US futures now. And what this shows you is where the US markets are expected to open tonight when they regain. So the Dow futures up by 2/3%. The broader market, the S&P 500, up by 1%. And the Nasdaq, the tech-laden index, which got hit hard last night by more than 3%, up by 1.4%. So again, this suggests that really the market reaction yesterday was overdone. And really now there is a sense of balance that's coming back into these markets.
Yeah, it's really interesting to watch. And Ross, the framing for the Reserve Bank meeting today, if they wanted to be cautious before the events of the last couple of days, that would just reinforce that caution, wouldn't it?
Oh, there's no doubt about that. So you'd almost imagine that any suggestion that interest rate rises, which were around this time last week, they're now completely off the table. It is either steady as she goes or at least keeping a little eye on an economic washout and as a result needing to cut rates. So here is the probability on the markets this morning of the Reserve Bank keeping rates on hold, an 87% chance and a 12% chance of a cut. Now, last week, that was more than 20% a chance that there would be an increase. Well, that's now disappeared. So the markets have really turned around. The second thing I can also show you is in the United States, because here it is quite a different story. There's a 78% chance of a 0.5% interest rate cut when the Federal Reserve next meets in September, and a 21% chance of a 0.25% rate. In other words, they're saying there's going to be a rate cut. It's just a matter of how big that rate cut will be, and suggestions it is going to be much bigger. Now, I should also take you back to the ASX 200 just to show you where the share market is. These are live prices coming through, and you can see here that the ASX 200 this morning, as we're saying, Kieran, up by around 0.75%. So it has picked up a little bit of what it lost yesterday when it was down by 3.7%.
Ross, will stay in touch, and of course, full live coverage and analysis of the RBA announcement. 2:30 this afternoon. Ross, front and centre as always there.